Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Today I am going to introduce you to an oldie but a goodie with a twist. This is the patty melt, a sandwich consisting of ground beef with melted cheese and topped with caramelized onions between two slices of bread. It is unclear when the patty melt was invented, but records exist of it having been commercially served as early as the 1940s. And on this video, ladies and gentlemen, I will be recreating this recipe with a twist. Instead of making beef patties, well, you'll see. But AP, I came here to learn how to prep, not how to cook. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've said this often, and that is that cooking at home is a great way to save big bucks that you can then use to prepare. And I think that if you make this for your family, you will never feel like stopping at McDonald's for a number one ever again. That's how good it is. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see here, this is going to be a very simple recipe. I have here just 2 pounds of regular ground beef, 80-20 will do. 1 medium-sized onion. You could use whatever kind of onion you want. I like yellow onions. And take a look at this block of mild cheddar cheese that came all the way from Wisconsin. For those of you that don't know, one of our community members visited his daughter in Wisconsin, and he picked up this block of cheese for me about a year ago, and I've had it in the freezer ever since. In addition to the cheese, we're going to need some black pepper, some soy sauce, and a little bit of this ghee that I have right here. Now, what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is we are not going to make patties for this patty melt. We are going to take this ground beef, and we are going to cook it down in this pan right here. We're going to put it in there in nice crumbles, and we do not want to have really big pieces. We want to break it down as much as we can, and we want to fry this meat until all of the water has evaporated out of it, and all that is left is the meat and the fat. What that's going to do is it's going to allow the meat to be nice and crispy, but still tender inside after we're done. Now, ladies and gentlemen, once the meat looks like it's just about cooked, we're not going to put any salt in this beef. So you didn't see me bring any salt out as part of the ingredients, but you did see me bring out a little bit of soy sauce. Soy sauce is going to give it an additional layer of flavor. No, it's not going to taste like soy sauce when it's done, but it's going to provide the salt that it needs with a little added flavor, since we're not really putting too many ingredients into this recipe. In addition to that, as you saw, I put in a little bit of black pepper. You can put in as little or as much as you want to your taste preference. Now, once we stir in that soy sauce and black pepper, ladies and gentlemen, we'll transition to our onion. All we're going to do is take our medium-sized onion, slice it up, and then cut it into small cubes. You really don't want to have very big pieces because you want this onion to kind of like incorporate into the meat and be part of the meat. So we'll do that. Once we're done here, we're going to go ahead and add this to our meat, stir it around, and then continue to let the meat and all of this goodness that you see here simmer until most of the water has evaporated and the meat starts frying in its own fat. While the meat is finishing up, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get this cheese ready. So what we're going to do here is we're going to cut about the equivalent of 2 cups of cheese once the cheese is crumbled up. So as you can see, I cut out a nice little block of this cheese here, and now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and crumble it up with our hands into this bowl, and then it'll be ready for us to add to our meat once it's ready. And look at that, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't that look tasty? I think it's time that we give this a quick taste test to make sure that we're on the right track over here. And man, let me tell you what, that is really good. For something that doesn't have as many ingredients as far as spices as this goes, you can taste everything in this, ladies and gentlemen. It tastes great. I think we're ready to add in the cheese. So now all we're going to do is we're going to add about 3/4 or maybe 2/3 of this. This is not an exact science, ladies and gentlemen, so I would say add about 2/3 of what we had in that bowl in there. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to stir this around. We're going to stir it around a little bit to incorporate all of that cheese into the meat. And then we're going to go ahead, turn our heat all the way down. We're going to cover this for a few minutes and come back when all of this cheese is melted. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, the cheese is all melted. Now all we have to do is stir everything around until that cheese is stirred evenly into that meat. And look at how pretty the browning in that meat came out. We're going to go ahead and continue to stir this around until the cheese is completely incorporated. And then once everything is pretty evenly mixed, we are going to turn off our burner. We are going to cover this and we're going to let this sit until it becomes hard. You know how fat becomes hard? It's different than oil. It'll become hard at room temperature. That is what we want to do. Once that's been accomplished, then we can go to our next step and we are almost done. And ladies and gentlemen, we are now in the home stretch. It's been a couple of hours and as you can see, everything is nice and hard. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to score this big patty, this big beautiful patty of meat, onions, spices, and cheese so that I can take them apart in pieces and put them on a plate. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and get our bread ready. But I also have a surprise. I'm not sure if you noticed during the beginning of this video that you saw that there was an egg sandwiched in between the bread and the meat. So we're going to go ahead and cook up an egg over easy and get our bread ready at the same time. And look at all this meat that came out of that. Like I said, this was 2 pounds of meat. And this is a lot. This is probably going to make like 6-8 sandwiches. And we have to give it a taste test, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. Oh my goodness, that looks so good. And let me tell you what, that came out great. I am very excited about this. And also, ladies and gentlemen, let me go ahead and fill you in on this. You do not have to use cheddar cheese for this. I used it because this is really good quality cheddar cheese. But if you want to go with the old-fashioned all-American that comes in a little plastic wrap, you can use that as well. If you want to use provolone, you can use provolone. If you want to use mozzarella, you can use mozzarella. It'll just be a little stringier than this came out. But you can pretty much use any kind of cheese that you like in this. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're back to our original pan, and what we're going to do now is we're going to heat this up. So we're just going to put this on medium-low, cover it up, and we're going to head on over to another pan that I have with some ghee that's heating up. Now this ghee, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be what we use in order to cook our egg. Now the way that I like to cook an egg over easy, let's say, is to get the pan pretty hot, and then once it's pretty hot, I put my egg in there, and then I turn the heat all the way down to the lowest setting, and we're going to try to keep it all together as neat as possible. We really don't want this to be taking up a lot of area. That way it'll fit on our piece of bread nice and neat. Now once the bottom of this egg is pretty well cooked, meaning that I can't see the pan through the egg whites. You see how the egg whites keep getting wider and wider and I can't see the pan? Once that happens, I'm going to go ahead and just give this egg a quick little flip. Once I give it that quick little flip, guess what? I'm going to turn off my pan. I'm going to let it sit there for about 30 seconds to a minute, and that's going to cook up the yolk just enough so that we can put it on our sandwich without it spilling all over the place. Now that our patty is nice and warm, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and put some cheese on it. And as that cheese is sitting there starting to melt, we're going to go ahead and grab our nice egg that we just fried up. We're going to put it on top of it, and then we're going to cover it up and go get our bread ready. Now as you can see here, there's a little bit of ghee left over from when I fried up that egg. We're going to go ahead and get just 2 regular pieces of bread that you buy at the store. No, I did not bake this bread, ladies and gentlemen, shame on me, but just 2 regular pieces of bread. I like to get the part crisp that the meat patty is going to lay on. That way the bread doesn't get soggy. Same thing with the bread that I'm going to use to put on top. So we're going to try to crispen both sides of these breads. That way once we put our patty and everything else in here, it won't get all soggy and it will stay together. Now once the bottom of this other piece of bread is nice and crisp, we're just going to go ahead and put it right on top, and then we're going to go ahead and start browning the other side of this bread that still needs to be crispened up. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have to do a little bit of kitchen gymnastics. And let's see how this works out. Here we go. Let's see if this will work out without everything falling apart. This is the one thing that I know that I really need practice on in the kitchen, is trying to flip things over. I am terrible at it. But here we go. And we made it, ladies and gentlemen. Now all we have to do is get that bottom bread nice and crisp, nice and brown. And we're going to be ready to go on over and put this on a plate and see how it tastes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this. I mean, I know that it may seem like this is a complicated thing to do because there's a lot of small steps. But remember, I made enough meat patties, I guess you can call them, that you could probably make 6 or 7 sandwiches with. And making the meat patties is what takes the longest. And look at that. I mean, unless you don't have taste buds, your mouth should be watering right now, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at this. I mean, this looks so darn good. And the thing is that you can probably put any sauce in here that you want. I mean, look at the inside of this. Look at the layers. Everything looks so delicious. Now, you can make your own sauce if you want. I'm going to try to put some Chick-fil-A sauce, I think it is, and try it with some of this when I have another one here later on today. But I'm pretty sure Little Miss Alaska Pepper is going to go ahead and grab one of these pieces that I have here. I really hope that you try it, because I'm very sure that you'll like it a lot. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper. I am out.